1MDB is one of the biggest frauds, financial frauds in history.
Investigators have called it one of the biggest corruption cases ever.
1MDB continues to deepen in several countries.
How much money was stolen from the people of Malaysia in this 1MDB scandal?
Well, at least 4.5 billion.
You can fool all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. This is the famous quote by Abraham Lincoln. Likewise, there are some people who try to fool peoples but ultimately they failed. It's a story of staggering corruption, lavish lifestyles, and betrayal of public trust. Billions of public money were spent on lavish lifestyle, partying and for other personal benefit.
Yeah, at one point, Jolo had more spending power than just about anyone on Earth.
Join us as we uncover the shocking story behind this massive financial mess. The story begins in 2009, with the creation of the One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, by then Prime Minister of Malaysia Najib Razak. It was originally set up to drive economic growth through strategic investments, but it quickly became a vehicle for personal enrichment. Under Najib leadership, billions of dollars were siphoned from the fund under guise of development projects, but in reality, they lined the pockets of Najib, his family and close associates. But Najib was not the main character here. The main character of this scandal was Jolo.
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 Or Jolo.
Jolo.
I like to plan my evenings and make sure that I always go to the best party.
Jolo was a businessman from Malaysia, who actually came up with the idea for 1MDB. Even though Najib was named as CEO, but Jolo was the one really calling the shots and running the show. He was born in the Malaysian island of Penang to a wealthy family. Growing up, he attended the elite Harrow School in the United Kingdom and later studied at the Wharton University in US. During this time, he developed friendships with various influential and wealthy individuals, as all of his classmates were from rich families, and some were from royal families as well. His outgoing personality and penchant for networking enable him to establish connections with students from affluent backgrounds, as well as with individuals who would later become prominent figures in his business. One of the important connections he made was with Riza Aziz. Aziz was Jolo's best friend from his days at Harrow. The plus point was that he was stepson of Najib Razak. So with the help of Riza Aziz, Jolo was able to maintain good relation with Najib. He also played an important role in Najib becoming the Prime Minister. When Najib became the Prime Minister, Jolo wasted no time and came up with an idea. He wanted to create a big fund, kind of like the ones they have in the Middle East, where they invest money from the government all over the world. So, Jolo talked to Najib about it, and they decided to start this fund together, calling it 1MDB. Jolo was successful in collaborating with the Arabs and Khazanah National BHD in the Iskandar development. He was a successful person. Also, he involved in acquisition of UBG with the Tun Taib Mahmud family. Jolo also had a good relationship with the royal family and officials in UAE and Saudi Arabia. As Najib trusted Jolo fully, he gave full control of 1MDB to Jolo. So after acquiring the power, he hired people he knows, and within 1 year he had found the first deal formed the fund to invest in. He managed a joint venture with the oil company Petro Saudi Holdings, where 1MDB had to put in $1 billion. But 1MDB transferred only $300 million into joint venture account, and the remaining was transferred into another company's account, Good Star, which was Jolo's offshore company registered in tax haven country. If you don't know about how tax haven works, check this video. As Jolo was controlling all funds, he was able to steal $700 billion from the fund in no time. And no one questioned him about it. He now had billions in his account. Now, he lived lavish life spending money, purchasing luxury properties in New York City and Los Angeles, $250 million luxury yacht, artworks, and hosting elaborate events around the world. He was known for throwing big parties, as he believes. Throwing big parties can help to network, cultivate an image of wealth and success, and gain influence. One of the biggest parties he had thrown was on his birthday in 2012. The extravagant event, which took place at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, featured performances by A-list celebrities such as Britney Spears, Chris Brown, and Paris Hilton. It is reported that the party was cost over some millions of dollars. He was also recognized as big spending Malaysian. In 2016, he also celebrated the New Year twice by jetting across different time zones. He was living the dream life of many of us. He reportedly started his celebration in Sydney, Australia, with a lavish party attended by celebrities and high-profile guests. Afterward, he quickly traveled to Las Vegas to continue his festivities and ring in New Year for second time. He also invested in Hollywood through his film production company, Red Granite. Jolo played a significant role in financing and producing high-profile films, most notably The Wolf of Wall Street, directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Jolo was specially thanked in the film's credit. This image of Jolo and Leonardo DiCaprio is from 2013 during the production process of the film. After already getting a bunch of cash for his fancy lifestyle, this guy still wanted more money. So, he decides to team up with Goldman Sachs, a big shot bank, to help 1MDB raise more dough by selling bonds. He sets up a meeting with Tim Leissner, who was the head of Goldman Sachs's Asian division. Jolo knows that having a big reputable bank like Goldman Sachs involved would make the whole thing seem legit. So, Goldman Sachs jumps on board and plays a major role in making sure 1MDB gets the money it needs by helping with several bond offerings. In 2012, when 1MDB issued $3.5 billion in bonds through Goldman Sachs, Jolo, acting as a fund manager, employed his familiar offshore tactics to divert $1.4 billion to his offshore company registered in the British Virgin Islands, yet another tax haven country. This diversion of funds was part of a pattern of financial manipulation that Lo had employed previously. Similarly, in 2013, when 1MDB issued another $3 billion through Goldman Sachs, Lo once again diverted a portion of the funds to his offshore accounts. These maneuvers allowed Lo to illicitly siphon off more money from the fund. Additionally, Lo believed to have compensated individuals who aided him in the process, including payments to Najib to ensure his cooperation and silence. The 1MDB scandal began to unravel in 2015, when investigations by journalists and international law enforcement agencies started to uncover irregularities and suspicious financial transactions related to the fund. Journalists from various news outlets, including the Wall Street Journal and Sarawak Report, published reports alleging financial mismanagement and corruption within 1MDB. These reports raised widespread concern and prompted authorities to launch investigations. As investigations progressed, more details emerged about the alleged embezzlement and misuse of funds. Whistleblowers, including former 1MDB officials and associates, provided evidence and testimony implicating high-ranking Malaysian officials, including then Prime Minister Najib Razak, and their associates in the scandal. Malaysian authorities, as well as law enforcement agencies of other countries, including the United States, Switzerland, and Singapore, conducted probes into the scandal. These investigations involved tracing financial flows, scrutinizing bank accounts, and cooperating with international counterparts to gather evidence. Several individuals have been jailed or faced legal consequences in connection with the 1MDB scandal. The former Prime Minister Najib Razak was convicted in July 2020 on multiple counts of corruption, abuse of power, and money laundering related to the misappropriation of funds from 1MDB. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison and fined millions of dollars. Tim Leissner, former Southeast Asia chairman of Goldman Sachs, pleaded guilty in the United States to charges including bribery and money laundering in connection with 1MDB. He was sentenced to prison and ordered to forfeit millions of dollars in assets. Roger Ng, former Goldman Sachs banker, Ng was extradited from Malaysia to the United States to face charges related to the 1MDB scandal. He has pleaded not guilty to charges including money laundering and bribery. In addition to Najib, Leisner, and Ng, various individuals, including Malaysian officials, financiers, and bankers, have faced legal consequences such as arrests, charges, and convictions in connection with the scandal. Some have been sentenced to prison terms, while others are awaiting trial or legal proceedings. But Zhou Lo, a central figure in the 1MDB scandal, has not been sentenced to jail because he has remained a fugitive from justice. Despite facing multiple charges in various countries, including Malaysia and the United States, Zhou Lo has managed to evade capture and is believed to be residing in a country without an extradition treaty with the countries seeking his arrest. Lo is believed to be residing in China, where he secretly travels extensively through major cities. In November 2020, Al Jazeera reported that Lo was currently living in Macau in a house owned by a senior member of the Chinese Communist Party.
Fugitive Zhou Lo was allegedly photographed in Disneyland Shanghai on Christmas Eve 2019